Hey Lee, how are you?
Good, Jerry. Hey, thanks a lot for jumping on this call with me. Based on that conversation that we had, I'm really excited about this and I want to be able to share it with other people. So, why don't you go through the presentation and let's have something that we can share with folks.
Okay, sounds great. Introduction for anybody who may not know me. My name's Sheri Kellogg. I have been in the Napa community for 50 plus years, I think. Oh my gosh, I'm showing my age, but I've had a small business over the last 7 years helping support other small businesses with their strategies in being omnipresent online. I appreciate that you and I have worked together, and I'm really happy to be talking with you about this and hoping to get the word out. In the last 6 to 8 months, I've brought on business funding, just helping folks find financing to scale or buy new equipment. It's real difficult sometimes to get SBA loans and bank loans for a business, especially new startups. But I'm working with a company that has a lot of different products. So in doing that, they've recently developed a partnership with a company I'll be talking about today, Bottom Line Concept. They've been working on for about a year now their employee retention credit program. Basically, today we're going to talk a little bit about who they are, what ERC is, how do we know if a business is eligible, how does the program work, how does it work when you work with Bottom Line. I have partnered with them in my area to make sure that small businesses, medium-sized businesses, any businesses that were severely disrupted or partially disrupted because of COVID and the government mandates, that they get the ERC credit. A lot of people aren't aware of it. A lot of people think, I can't take it because I got the PPP. A lot of people were told they don't qualify and they still might qualify. So we're going to kind of get some clarity on all of that today. I appreciate, again, you reaching out to me to get better understanding about it. So let's just jump right in. Defining this back in early part of 2020, as many businesses know, the government put mandates. It really affected a lot of businesses, the social distancing, equipment. Long and short of it, they did offer some funding to help kind of sustain and support people, the PPP. And also there was the ERC credit, employee retention credit. It was a tax credit. Sometimes it's referred to as ERTC. Back then, you could do one or the other. Most businesses chose the PPP because it was more funds, a little bit quicker processing time. You didn't have to wait for the tax season to end. And that was the end of it. However, in early part of 21, it was decided that all businesses have the right to tap into both. And as of last week, when I was talking with the folks at Bottom Line, only 14% of eligible companies have even applied for and gotten this. So there's still a good, 86% that either aren't aware or haven't applied or don't know that they qualify. And my hope and goal is to reach out to the companies in my community and even beyond that. It's significant depending on your number of W-2 wage earners, what their incomes were. Even if you did or did not apply for the PPP, you still can and should reach out and try to see if you qualify for this. It covers both 2020 and 2021 in terms of tax credits. There's no limit on the funds available. It's more, there is some time limit. April 15th of 2024 is when the 2020 tax year has to be finished up. And then for the 2021 tax year, you have until April 15th of 2025. There's many different elements. I'm not going to say that there's a cookie cutter, depending on your industry, depending on what changes you had to make. If you had a decrease in revenue, either partial or full shutdown, you need to take a look and find out if in fact you qualify. I'm not going to go over every one of these, but here, take a screenshot. If you had a change in business hours, if your vendors weren't able to supply things to keep your business open, if there was a change in job roles and functions, any disruption of business. If you take a look at any ground floor business that we had to walk into during 20 and 21, what changes were going on for them because of COVID? Those are the kind of things, kind of, do a little scan of your own personal business. And that's, again, just a start. This is not a complete and full list. How does the ERC process work? Similar how the banks each kind of helped different companies apply for and facilitate the whole PPP loan from start to finish. That's what Bottom Line Concepts is about. They help folks go through the process. I send them the business people, they get on a phone and have a phone interview. They onboard you if you're eligible. If you are, they'll start getting some data from you, some records of your financials and whatnot. And then they'll kind of help you file the correct paperwork and submit it to the IRS. They're not just going to give you a list of this is what you need to do. Good luck and Godspeed, but they're going to actually truly hold your hand, walk you through every step of the way until you have a check in hand if you end up being somebody who qualifies. I did put together a QR code if anybody wants to scan it with their phone, or if you want to go to the URL down at the bottom, and that'll send you right to the page on Bottom Line Concepts. So let's talk a little bit about why I'm working with Bottom Line Concepts. The funding company I work with has spent quite a few months trying to find an organization that has a good reputation, a solid history, and who knows the ERC like the back of their hand. And they had about 2 or 3 contenders. They chose to work with Bottom Line Concepts, whose typical business in the last going on 14 years now, what this company is all about is they will assess a business, analyze all their financials, and take a look and do a bit of an audit and look at every detail to determine, are your vendors getting you the best price? Did you overpay on this invoice? They'll just take a look at every potential crack where money may have dropped through, either in the past or going forward, what can be done differently, which makes sure that companies and businesses can, be capitalizing on every bit of revenue available to them. The ERC, they added this element of their business offerings. They've had 12,000 different companies that they've helped get this ERC money, totaling $2 billion collectively in claims. So as you can see, that's significant money. Just looking at this restaurant client, the refund of $856,000, I don't know how many employees or what their average income was, but that's significant. If there's folks that are still struggling to stay afloat and recover fully from COVID and coming into some of the financial challenges we're seeing going on, don't let this opportunity pass you by. A gym owner, $1.4 million. That's pretty significant when you consider, gym sizes, gym memberships, the costs and everything. So
yeah, well, they were totally shut down. So
yeah,
that totally makes sense.
Movie theaters, gyms. I was thinking even about wineries. Like here's a list that's not all inclusive. And I thought, well, wineries need to be on here because we know they suffered severely. They weren't able to have tastings. They had their wine clubs, I guess. Here's a broad overview of some potential businesses. Some of the ERC funds, again, we talked about a couple on the last slide, but they had a retail client, 1 million for the retail client, 2.8 for the manufacturing client, and 1.9 for a restaurant client. Again, everybody's situation is different. The size of your company, the number of W-2 wage earners, their incomes, those factors come into play, but who knows how much might be available if you have not yet filed. And I'm going to just go over a couple of questions that are typically asked of me. What about 1099 contracted workers? Unfortunately, from my understanding, those do not qualify. What about a business that's owned by 2 husband and wife, family members? There are some criteria. It's kind of crazy what the IRS has determined would make you eligible in that scenario. But I've been told, send them to us. We will take a look at the situation. Same thing with a company that had to close because of COVID and just never recovered. I asked about that. I know I've got a company here in Napa who that happened to, but I know they applied for PPP. So they're going to be working with Bottom Line to take a look at, do they still qualify for this ERC?
And it doesn't require that they reopen their company. If COVID ultimately ended their company, they can still get these funds and stay closed as a business.
You know what? I am not an expert on this, so I don't want to answer that with a solid confidence. I'm not sure, but when I brought that scenario to them, they said they potentially could get the ERC, and I don't believe this company has any intention of reopening. So by all means, again, scan the QR code, go to the URL there. It'll take you right to Bottom Line Concepts page, and it'll tell you a little bit about it. There's a button you click that says start the application process. It's very simple to do. I'm happy to answer questions as best I can, but if I don't have the answer, I will definitely get it for you or direct you to who could answer it for you. Feel free, if it's easier for you to want to text me a question or reach out to me, here's my number and I'll do my best to get you the answers. Also, you can feel free to call me there.
I think it's worth noting the reason that you want them to scan the code or go to the bit.ly link that you've put there is because you are their representative, and if they go directly to bottom line through Google or something of that nature, then you're representing them on the local basis is not captured then. Is that a right way of
Yes,
saying it?
that's correct. I have partnered with them in my area, so I do want to try to get them as many businesses that I think, that I learn or think could use this. I know of a couple of restaurants that I know are just really struggling to stay open, and I'm friends with the people that own them, and it makes me sad. And so we're working on trying to see what they can make happen here.
Well, not to mention, you are the source from which they are now receiving this, and
Yeah.
it doesn't cost them any more to go through this QR code or the link. So they may,
Yeah, absolutely. The bottom line concept, all of the work they do, including this ERC, it's all a contingency based fee. If they don't recover you funds, if they can't get you the ERC, you're not going to be charged for it. So
that's probably the most critical,
yeah,
important
yeah,
bit of information in the
yeah,
entire presentation. Nothing to lose
right,
by
right.
going ahead and scanning the QR code and making contact with bottom line and find out yay
Yeah,
or nay. So great.
yeah,
Hey, I really appreciate you spending that time to run through this, and I'm going to share this with as many folks as I can. It's all part of giving back to the greater Napa Valley community and helping businesses as best we can. So,
yeah. And I've always appreciated that passion that you and I both share for the entrepreneur. It's a beautiful world from my perspective. My kids think
right,
I'm nuts, but I love to support small business owners, and I think truthfully they are going to carry the American economy through these next few years. And if I can be there to help them stay afloat, I'm really excited and happy to do so. So
right.
thank you,
All right.
Lee, very much.
Thanks, Sheri. Talk to you
Okay.
soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.